Well, welcome, ladies and gents. We're going to start a new series today. It's going to be called Jesus or Epstein, and we're going to ask, did Jesus do it or did Epstein do it? The first thing we're going to ask here is, did Jesus say to lick or wash other strangers' feet, or did Epstein say that? Well, I asked the AI generating both of them. And the AIs generating Jesus and Epstein told me in the Bible, John 13, Jesus washes, not licks, you filthy pervert, the dirty, dusty feet of his disciples with water and a towel during the Last Supper. This act was a profound demonstration of humility and service, reversing the social hierarchy where a servant would usually perform this menial task. So Jesus is providing a service by washing people's feet that only servants usually do, right? You know, one specific instance in my life where I got taught what's going on around me in this world is I walked into my friend's house when we was 15, and he was watching. I'm pretty sure this is purposefully. He had a movie turned on, and it was of a blonde hair, blue eye woman in a Nazi uniform with her tits exposed and naked all except for the hat, and she was whipping and beating the other person. And now I'd already experienced the Hebrew before, so my other friend is trying to get me to have sex with him when I was like 13. Um, so I already experienced. I mean, well, at first I was at the church when I was little, so I already knew that men like men, men like boys, especially. Oh, men look nasty, right? Boys look cute, I guess, to people who are attracted to men. So I had already figured out that, hey, it's a possibility. My friend here, I mean, he looked like the fruitiest of anyone. I've almost any, probably more than anyone I've ever met. And I go to these clubs. I don't go to your normal country western bar. I go see Rocky Horror Show every week and stuff, right? So I was kind of assuming this dude's never with a girl, even though he's good at guitar because he doesn't like girls. But so what this tells me is this dude sets up. He's like, okay, so later in life in 2020, the clone of Joe is like he's like driving me around like 90 miles per hour on bumpy roads and shit, and he's like trying to scare me, and he's trying to like scare me into having sex with him. He turns on a porno and he's talking about men on men sex and asking me if I like it, and so we have that too later in life, and so basically, what this dude was doing is he was turning on a porno of Nazis beating his people to try to excite me, because sickos think you're sick like them. And even if they could imagine you're not, they're predators, so they're trying to force their lifestyle on you. That's why the media is filled with, is it Howard Stern or is it Jesus? Which one is it? They look the same to me, look like the same person to me. At least the newer versions, right? They got a new one out there and stuff. But, supposedly, according to the readings, they would say that it's the same family. So, this dude is like my friend, right? He's my friend because he's the only person who listens to music close to what I do, and I'm looking for a band most of my life. I'm looking to make music my whole life, but so I have to choose him as a friend. And I could probably get anyone to do cool stuff with me. Maybe. He also played video games too, which was like, it's weird because like humans were like cavemen or something. And they were doing cavemen stuff. That might have been more directed at me to force me into not doing any work of value. So they're people, if I make a radio show, people listen to it because it's good. If Howard Stern makes a radio show, that's not going to work. No one's going to listen to it. So, as people would have to prevent you from making a radio show in order to give any sort of semblance that someone would listen to any words they have to say. Yeah, so what you learn from these instances here is these people love, and I know a lot of females too, so females can confirm this, so there's no use in lying to me or to yourself. There are plenty of sickos in this world, right? And some people they're sexually invigorated by the idea of being beaten. It's a, it, if you don't have a lot of experience, that's not even a bad thing. I congratulate you. If you're not with a new female or male every day of the week, congratulations. But if you have been around several and you can study that, you can see there are lots of people who want beaten. 40 Shades of Grey, you might have heard of that. That's the world's bestseller. Before that, it was the Bible. But 40 Shades of Grey beat it all. So at first there was a book telling you to go wash strangers' feet, and then there's a book telling you to force people to wash your feet for sexual pleasure. And so we can tell right away that this is a lie. It's a profound demonstration of humility and service, reversing the social hierarchy where the servant would usually perform this task. First of all, Jesus was a bum, and he was the servant level. So they weren't like reversing the roles here. And these people, like when you control the media and own a nation, if you want some woman to dress up in a Nazi uniform and beat you for with her tits hanging out, this isn't a person who wants a servant. This isn't a person who is like, oh my God, I'm being killed by the Nazis, prostitute. This is a person who is wanting beaten. This is why they have these porno videos in their house and stuff. And the sickos will turn this stuff on to show you what they want to bait you into it, because there's 100 ways to Sunday that they're trying to bait you into their lifestyle. That's what's going on with the media. This is why this stuff is so overpopulated, and I magically get born in the city where this stuff all unfolds. Everything is gonna comes together and forced in my fucking life. I mean, forced, definitely have these people force this shit. Like I said, just one time alone. I mean, hell, I'm trying to forget everything, but in 2020, I'm with my new clone friend, and I just moved in with him, and because I'm about to take off, but the original clone of him is like all fucked in his head and jealous. They were working together. They're a robot species who are networked by their AI god. They're the god of the earth, they call it in their sideways language. But they call it AI. Every link to it has AI. Anyway, so he's driving me through the countryside, where I don't know where we're at. We're going like 90 miles per hour in a broke down car, and there's bumps in the road, and he's just swinging around curves as fast as he can, You could tell like desperation. He's a crackhead. Like seriously, like he's like, yeah, do you like guys? Here, have some meth and stuff, right? And all these people, it's like their character creation profile or something. He looks like a crackhead. He loves the government, and that's a weird thing. Is why are you hanging out with me if you're like got pictures of you in cop uniforms and stuff? I'm stupid. I'm real stupid. I've done all this meth you've done, so my brain is fried, bro. I can't figure anything out. Isn't that weird too? He's working with the cops. Probably is one, or used to be. He probably fried himself into drugs and can't work the force anymore. And he's trying to force me into gay sex with him and drugs and using meth. And did best he can to, we're traveling 90 miles per hour down a fucking little fucking rural road, where there's like, fucking 80-year-old grandmas and shit. And, on their farms, just sitting around waiting to die. Might be walking across the street or something to get an apple from the tree, and we're just whipping down the road 90 miles fucking per hour and shit. I'm used to racing and driving type stuff. I'm used to more than that. 90 miles per hour is pretty slow if you ask me, but you realize like, well, we could die at any second here because we're hitting frickin' bumps. That's actually new. I outside a truck and we were never going above 90 when we were mudding. So no, but anyway, so we know from these people that they love making threats and forcing their sickness upon people. Right, we know this. We can turn on the TV in America and see this. And I think it's many countries because they're in the storyline here. They started in Middle Earth and then they managed to make it to the furthest west side of the planet. So it could be. Like I said, I get forced show information, and I was shown like the trans stuff was already being pushed in Asia where Epstein's parents, Kanye West, thinks Epstein's great granddad might have come from. Um, they already had that stuff out there. So that's not new. You see, they discuss this stuff, but what they don't tell you is they're just discussing it to discuss it because they're sickos. Like when I walk in my friend's house. He's not really my friend, is he? He's purposely got a video on of naked Nazi women beating people up. Because he wants to excite me. He wants me to have sex with him. And he's turned on that. He probably wants me to beat him. Obviously, if you like that stuff at all, if you even watch it for more than 10 seconds, that's what you want. You either want to do the beating or you want to, I don't watch. They make videos of people eating poop for sex, and we don't watch more than 10 seconds of that when it comes by. Might check it out like a freak show for about 2 seconds, but that's about it, right? Just like this dude invites me in, so the only reason I even see this is because he's like purposely setting this up. It's trying to pull my mind into thinking about sex because he's interested in sex with me. And so this is what this is. There are people, they are the Muslims and the Hebes come to me when I was trying to live outside to get away from their species. And they like bring this up, right? See, they can't, for some reason people can't keep their mouth shut, and they're like NPC telling me the dialogue and the story going on. So they cause a lot of problems, and one of their things is like these are strangers, they're computer bots connected to a network, and So they know my personal life. That's how they show up in my life, because they're working with my mom to fuck my life over again. And because she's a Hebe. If not, she's just so deep with him and tries to look like one so bad you can't tell. But I'm pretty sure my grandma looks like Howard Stern. So uh, thankfully, the DNA was overwritten by better DNA. Or instead of making this, I'd be making videos telling you how you should be letting me wash your feet. Because these sickos I know, they want to wash your feet. You know, these men trying to have sex with me, they want to wash my feet because they know they're not going to have sex with me. So they work their way through the motions. They start using the words. They start talking about things. They put on videos of naked Nazis beating people. They put on videos of people eating feces and rubbing it on their tits. You know, like this video right here, it sounds like I might not like this stuff, but they put out tons of stuff like that. But the goal is to get you to think of it so it seeps into your brain and infects you. And then one day they'll end up washing your feet. And even if that's all that ends up, they'll be 2 feet away from your genitals, which in the mind of a sicko who no one's ever going to want to touch, that is great and amazing. They can smell your genitals while they're washing your feet. This is how these people operate. This is why their media in this country is just filled with a whole bunch of fart jokes and what's that called? When you spread the legs, man spreading. Everyone who's a man doesn't need to talk about man spreading. Everyone who's a woman is too, because, well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of women are really dirty, and they're rotting. They have flesh rot on the inside of their legs. So those women, you know, specifically larger ones with more muscle or fat down there, they know exactly why you would spread your legs, because your flesh is rotting and it has to air out. And fortunately, I only remember seeing that on one person, but you definitely need your your flesh washed at that point in time. If but someone's going to be there to, the people I know would be there to do it if you're a man. Probably not if you're a woman. I think they have sex with everything, including dogs. So I've never met anyone who doesn't like women that I can confirm. Maybe a couple girls, maybe. Um, Definitely not all of them. I can confirm the other way, but yeah. So, and definitely I can tell by the way some dogs act that people love their dogs a lot, and their dog loves it too. Um, but anyways, look the whole wording. See, this is exactly what they do. You might know from female interactions if you're a male, and if you're a female, you might know this. But you might have met people, and you might have met guys who do this too. I'm pretty sure. So I try to provoke people into killing me because I want to, you know, I don't want to be around them and shit. Fucking. But there's some. It's not because I'm like, ooh, we're gonna load my body up with fucking 100 bullets, and then we're gonna shoot my head with the rocket because it's sexy time, baby. But you can tell, just like that man who puts on that video, the boy who puts on that video when I come into his room, that there are people who want beating. And if you understand about things, it's not fun if it's not real, too. So you've met people before, you might not even know what you're experiencing, but there are definitely people out there who are trying to incite you to hit them for all sorts of reasons. And one of those reasons is because they love it. And it's like sex. If you haven't been with a lot of people, some people don't like sex. And you wouldn't think that because you're like, well, they're dating people. Well, why are they doing that? It's like lots of people are obsessed with money and control and breeding to create a Nazi army or breeding. I met a person who wanted a child because their family was trash and they said they wanted something better. It was one person out of everyone in the world I've ever met who had discussed that. And everyone else who had a kid had a different story there. Um, and you can tell by the president of the United States and the rest of the people there that, they're just having kids for their Nazi army and shit. And they just want to overpopulate the world with themselves, and that helps them not have to use nukes, which there'll be fallout from, and then they'll get cancer and radiation poisoning and stuff, and so they're scared of that. Um, so, anyways, anytime someone talks about cleaning your feet, it's a sicko who is trying to get as close as to you as they can. And the sicko shit, the sicker it is, the more appetizing it is to them. That's why they go for the feet, and they're not like, can I wash your hands? It'd be easier to, if they were after your genitals, when they had your hands in their hands, it'd be easier to pull you closer. And like, oops, accidentally touched you. But the feet is sickness. It's the most disgusting part besides eating the feces. And so it's like valued, and it's treasure to them. I don't know how much experience you have with people, but lots of people don't like sex. They're not dating you for sex. They're not looking for other people for sex. They're not good at sex. You can tell, like, they're not interested in it. They've not studied on it. They've not prepared for it. And so there's always this theme. Some people think that your partner might be trying to marry you to take half your stuff. Like, right? I mean, there's a million videos. It was Johnny Carson was the first one to make the news. And the cover of the magazine was like, oh no, I'm losing half my stuff because the girl he was with was whatever and then took half his stuff. So that's a common theme. I know my mom in specific, every time she talks about her exes, it's the Porsche always gets brought up. So I can tell that the Porsche was a huge part of this relationship. And and it also cements it when it talks about my father who worked, he got Epstein money, bro. Um, but he invested it back in his businesses and shit. And you could tell other people hired him to run their businesses on top of him running his own side stunts. And other people would try to recruit him to go work in different states and stuff, but he works here with Lex Wexner, so just no. Miami's a nice place with a lot of money, but it's a tourist spot mostly. So you go there if you want it, enjoy it, and spend money, or if you're involved in cross-border trafficking. But other than that, the money stays near the financial sector, New York or Hollywood, and New York's right to the north. We got a lot of New York overflow. As you might remember, Lex Wexner sold Epstein his mansion in New York. So, it's the same street basically. Anyway, so anytime someone talks about your feet, this is a sicko. It's like someone talking to you about your ass. No one does that unless it's a sicko or a doctor. No one's interested in your feet, and your feet are dirty and smelly, and they're dirty. So no one cares, right? Uh, they might be hairy too. Um, it's sicko stuff. There's a huge, you can look it up if you don't believe me, there's a huge online obsession. If you've never met these people in real life, there's a huge online obsession with feet worship. Like those self made uh, women selling themselves, pretty much everyone is also selling services like Beat You or pictures of the feet. Picture of the feet's probably the cheapest way to get a lot of money. My ex talked about that too. Like, I'm sure my ex had everything happening, but I'm sure most of my exes had men trying to touch their feet and stuff. I messed around with that once or twice because I thought maybe girls actually like that, but I think but they don't. What they might like is the money they get from a sucker who is so desperate that they will try to get to you as slow as they can, but any way possible, starting with the feet to show you their subservience and how far they're willing to go to provide for you. That's really what that is. It's just a sign that I will do anything for you. I will lick your feet. Um, and it cemented it when they sent the Muslim and the Hebrew into my life, and clearly they were all sent to fuck with me and shit. And they were networked, and then they take me to their house, to use drugs and stuff, and then they have like the Star of David and everything in their house. There's no, I can identify them by the pale skin, the gray skin, because they're the grays. But it makes sure that it takes me to a house loaded with their stuff, as if I'm stupid and can't figure it out. It just cements it together, like fully. That's why I know what I'm talking about, because that doesn't let me not know. That's how I know, because the about this, because it doesn't let me not have a friend who is trying to rape me when I'm 13. It doesn't let me not have a friend who is turning on porno of naked Nazis beating people to try to bait me into feeling sexual and aroused around them. And, it doesn't let me not know how far this person is willing to go when we're going 90 miles per hour down the road. And I have a crack, someone fried, probably born that way, probably their genetics. Again, even if they are all on drugs, they're all acting the same regardless, and they all look the same. So when we're driving down the road at 90 miles per hour, and he's on the DVD unit in the car, he's putting on some no, he's putting his phone up there, because not everyone has a DVD unit in the car, especially these old cars that are falling apart. Um, that was the first one with a DVD unit in my car I'd ever heard of. That's not very common. And I mean, it is now, right? But we're going 90. He's offering me meth. He's putting on porno. And he knows, like I'm being forced into this, right? The whole direction and route of everything. He knows that I'm not interested in him, because he's already asked me if I want to be part of sexy time with him, right? So he knows I don't find men attractive. And so he chooses to put on straight pornography while offering me meth and asking me again if I like guys and stuff, right? Again. And so, I'm like forcing this. Like, I don't have a choice anywhere, any day. Yesterday, 2 days ago, when I go outside, I had one of these homeless crackheads with the Bible, like come up to me and accost me for like 30 minutes just to tell me that if I don't worship him, that when I die, I'm going to be tortured by his God. And, and then he tries to buy me off during that, too. And anyway, so it's the same person putting all these people in my life. It's the same computer system here. I believe they might think they're actually aliens and they're hiding in space on a base and they're operating the human robot clone things. But I don't know if I've ever actually met a living being here. I didn't test people in the past, and I know recently that that's all we had. That's all that's been forced in my life. Maybe the humans, the real living beings, just aren't trash and they don't rake their way into your life and force you to talk with them so they can get to talking about let me lick your feet type shit. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're not trash. That is a viable answer. I just don't know the living because the living are not trash. Um, to me, that's always made sense. That's why I didn't ever give up hope because it's like, well, there could be some of us, some more. But I know, I mean, it's easier to see when they're admitting they're robots than someone who's not telling me they're, not a robot. It's easier to see the glitches and shit. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, this is what they do. And then they came to me with threats 2 days ago about they're going to torture me if I don't worship what's creating them to come and try to force me to have sex with them and rape me and shit, creating the men. Trying to figure out, you know, why their God would have to lie about all the sex they're obsessed with. All that's not sex. You see that's where it goes. All this stuff they're doing is not even sex. It's just sickos doing sick things, and they're trying to call it sex and shit. Granted, some of them are never going to get sex unless they lick someone's feet for 10 years and pay them lots of money. Uh, so that is why they do that. That's why my friend put on that stuff when I go in his house because he knows I'm not interested in him. And he knows no one else finds him attractive, so he knows he's going to have to set up a large uh, list of events to try to bait someone. And one of those things is offering to wash people's feet, which you don't do. You don't go around washing people's feet. And you don't let other people touch your feet because they're really sick if they do. But this is also the people who legalize pedophilia and homosexual child rape rituals. Mutilation, sorry. The pedophilia, man, it's not just homosexual because they have the Quran, which they couldn't convince those people to mutilate and have sex with their babies. They're men, so they convinced them, unless they're the ones who invented it and they're just trying to enslave the planet by turning everyone into their uh, pocket masturbator, pyramid builder slave. Close, but I think we can tell that the root of where these people come from is not the Middle East, and that's a later offshoot from them. So I get the idea that they couldn't convince Middle Easterners to rape their little boys, but they could the little girls. For God, of course. And it's not rape because it's for God, so it's a good ritual. Uh, it's wholesome, just like this. It's wholesome. It's for God. Just the same book. It's wholesome if you chop a child's genitals up for God. It's wholesome if you just happen to kiss the genitals. Not just happen to, but we must for God. It's wholesome if we go around washing strangers' feet, or let the stranger who wants to wash our feet, because in reality land, no one wants their feet washed by someone else, but there are sickos who want to wash your feet. So that's the thing here. This is where we use our our knowledge to identify the root words, the verbs and the nouns, the adjectives, the parables, because there's never been a person who's gone around wanting to wash your feet. Well, I'm sure they're after something else. It's just a long step. How does Howard Stern get a girlfriend? He has to create the illusion he's rich and famous. It's never going to happen. He has to start at the feet and work his way up. It's called working your way up. But there's never been a person I know who wants their feet washed. Maybe this one Karen I know might have done that, but she really was a cheeseburger monster. So, but I also get the idea that she was not interested in sex at all. Um, I don't get the idea. I said that early. She was not interested in sex at all. She was interested in material goods like cheeseburgers. And yeah, so you could tell by her attitude that it was about enslaving other people if she would have been that person doing that. And you can easily see online that that's where that comes from. Though, I do suggest that most people who are doing that, they're selling their packages on OnlyFans because what they're interested in is the money and not you touching their feet. I know I've had exes who have told me this too. I was like, that's kind of sick you do that. I know you're getting rich off of it, off of selling people your feet pictures, but it's like, you know what they really want. You know what they're really after, right? And they're like, yeah, but they are sick and I wouldn't let them near me, but it's the most valuable thing. They make more per picture off that than they do off selling nudie pictures to normal people. Because the higher, it's like children, it's worth more because it's a sacred pleasure, right? If there's an item, if there was only 10 grams of cocaine left on the planet, how expensive do you think those last 10 grams would be? Elon Musk would sell fucking Tesla for that last 10 grams of cocaine. There's never going to be any more ever. Elon Musk would dump the entire Tesla. And you'd be like, what happened? And he'd be like, I don't know, man. I slipped, man. Oh, I gave it away to the poor. You know, it's what it is when there's it's like children. You can't go out on the corner and buy it. It's like wifing. You can't go out on the corner and buy it, so you have to buy them diamonds and lick their feet. So that's that ties into this too because you have there are people uh, making that illegal, but then controlling the governments so they don't get in trouble if they do it, and then they have the media where they control the porno, so they can do that. They can pay for women $10 for sex with someone, but then they make it so a normal person has to buy diamonds and gold and furs and thousands of dollars and spend your life, which one day of a hardworking, intelligent person is a what do What would Elon Musk pay for an extra day of life the last day he's alive? That's what you should value your life at. Every minute, every day. So Elon Musk would sell Tesla $32 trillion. He would sell everything he owns. $32 trillion for one extra day if he knew it was his last day. He would probably sell that for an extra hour, but just to be safe, one extra day. $32 trillion. That's what you should value your life at. These people have this huge network. It's odd how all these simple things all are written in their book. Like there are people prevent you from doing anything in the world, and then so they send the scrub to come talk to you and take your life away, and your life is worth $32 trillion a day. Now let's divide that. What is that? So you have mm, 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 mm. See, they're robots though, so like they have infinite life. Your life truly is worth fucking more than 32 trillion. They can be replaced for at the robot factory for like $20. So hold up. So we have what 24 hours, um, 60 minutes. So we have 1,440 minutes in a day. And let's just round that. We'll probably just round that here, right? So, what would you consider each minute? See, we probably wouldn't worry about the minute, but if you get one day extra, you would dump everything you own into it, most people, because they're obsessed with life. At least that's their dialogue. 1440. So, um, 24 trillion. So 16,666 6,606 it's 16 billion per minute. 16 billion per minute. Look at that. The numbers it gives me comes out to their sign, their people, uh, their hoopla, the the feet lickers. The enemies of the feet licker are the same people. This was a Satanist who I walked in and he had on the Nazis beating naked Nazis beating people as his pornography and stuff to try to bait me into that. And then so that dude tells me if I don't like him, I have to go to these other people. I have to wash his feet. This is literally what their people tell me. And then they write this book of slavery telling me, well, I should wash their feet. And I mean, or let them wash my feet. You got to realize there's never anyone looking at their feet washed. I mean, they will, obviously. We're driving. You offered me some meth rocks to have sex with you. You would easily take me up on the offer if I said, would you wash my feet? Or if I said I would wash your feet. Like you're asking me for the 10th time, will I have sex with you? And, um, you know, probably, yeah, imagine how that shit works. Fucking, anyway, so this is life. This is all Earth has been. It's been the feet lickers telling me that they're the enemies of the people who need their feet licked. And yeah, so it's all it's been here. This is all that's been going on, and they're the ones who've sanctified. The feet washers are the ones who legally mutilate and suckle little children across the street, and then use their media to talk about Epstein for 6 years instead of what they're doing across the street at the hospital owned by Lex Wexner. They, it's called Lex Wexner's Art College, Lex Wexner's OSU Hospital. There's the Wexner Science Foundation, because if you don't want to be part of either of the two child rape cults, the two opposing child rape cults, then you got to be a part of the third one, the atheist science child rape cult, which also is the only people who legalized raping children and mutilating them. So, this is what you deal with the entire time you're on the planet. You wake up and the game starts at at these these things with a super low IQ, no brain, no, they just sick individuals talking about flying reindeer and shit. And then they're trying to give you candy too. And at the same time, I'm born like literally with a pedo rapist like right beside our house. But it's not right beside, it's cornered at it. So we get to watch him, right? The joy of that. We get to watch him every Sunday come to the door naked. So all the kids on the block can look down the street at the person there naked. And then my family is telling me, watch out for people like that. They'll give you candy to try to get you into the bed with them. And at the same time, those people are the ones trying to give me candy to get me into the bed with Santa Claus ideas. Feet lickers. So they're like telling on themselves the whole time they're here. It's like a visual novel where Gargamel, who just happens to look like these people, and lots of people in my life, is busy. And yeah, guess who the Smurfs are with their white hats? Oh, it's the controlled opposition, isn't it? Actually, I don't meet many of those people. I don't. I don't know if they actually exist here. I think that's more of that scapegoat stuff because I never seen him in this nation. There was this small side of town, supposedly, which is where the kid trying to get me to have sex with him by turning on videos of naked Nazis beating people lives. So, and that's Jeffrey Epstein's side of it. It's like right beside literal. Like he has a city called Bexley. No, Bexley's to the south. It's called is it Bexley? What is Lex Wexner's city's name? What is the name of Lex Wexner's city? New Albany. Yeah, New Albany. So this guy lives like right beside. Technically this is before New Albany was built. I think New Albany was built a year or two after that. Um, and so yeah, I guess that's where they lived before they created New Albany. Was on the street right beside New Albany, and you can easily tell that like the rich people's side of town is where they are, and then the Africans are to the south. They were urban, and then they gentrified the area and moved them to the southeast. They're to the east, and the south is like poor white trash, and then the west is like a rancher farmer, kind of rich people, but they don't look like it. And uh, that's where I'm at. They gentrified the west. The white trash also was on the west, but they gentrified that kind of. They put a barrier out here, so far west is different, and then up to the northwest is it's called an Irish town, but I haven't done blood tests on any of them to confirm that they're not just East Siders, Northeast Siders. So that's it. The whole Northeast area is Wexner's city, even though they say like, I mean, he literally built this other city, though, right? You know, they didn't just move there. He literally built that city with his, Epstein money. Um, it seems harmless enough when he runs Victoria's Secrets, but again, they're talking about shit constantly. Like when I walk into their room and they have on naked Nazis beating people, they're putting that on to promote the idea, take your pants off so I can have sex with you. If you don't put, I get the idea if people don't want to have sex with you and you're fucking obsessed with it, you have to put the idea in their head, you know. And that's what they're, obviously, it's what they do. They're putting on the pornos when I come in, and it's like, I'm a dude. I thought we were friends, bandmates or something. Uh, there's no need for us to watch porno. There's no women around. And I wouldn't watch porno with guys, even if a man was around. So, this is crazy how this is all set up like this. This is like, it's all like reoccurring things. Some of it's like in Grand Theft Auto, how you can drive around the block and the same prostitute will appear. Be the same. For some reason, it's the same exact mini game, and it never changes. And it's the same pattern, and it never changes. And if you're looking for it, you can keep driving around the block, and it'll appear somewhere. That part, I don't know if that exists. These other things are planted. These other things are planted. And I don't know how much stuff I can drive around the block looking for something. Um, yeah, so this is obviously, I mean, you're born, and right away, you're like, yeah, I know what's going on here, Rudolph and shit. With your nose so bright from getting boxed so many fucking times for acting the way you're acting and shit. Yeah, oh, you need to give the kids candy, huh? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, yeah, I thought they use that threats of torture and shit because you'd be like, maybe it is just discipline. Is discipline what? To pull your pants down when you're a toddler? It's discipline to let someone lick your feet or lick other people's feet? Yeah, you, they really are low on truth. That's the biggest thing when someone has to repeat the same thing over and over that's already in the world 10 trillion times. Is there's a purpose for that, right? I don't have to repeat the truth that if I walk outside, the ground will prevent my legs from sinking through the earth and appearing in China. I'm not going to fall into China because the ground's out there. I don't have to say that. There's obvious truths out there, and those things never have to be spoken of. You ever notice that? Why has no one ever said those words I just said? Why have your parents never warned you or affirmed that you don't need to worry about your legs falling to the earth and you slipping into China? Why has no one ever told you this stuff before? Why do you think that is? Is it because they're stupid and they don't know that? I doubt it. I doubt that's the reason. I think it's because they know. And you know. And no one has to say it because it's real. But I have to say, I have to point out these things because I'm countering something that's being said repeatedly. And there's nothing they're countering. They're not countering anything. There is a, as far as I knew, I woke up in a world where the rainbow is worshipped, and I'm in the heart of it all. The game magically calls it here. And all this stuff starts around me, and then so that allows it to sink me into, oh, this is perfectly normal. When my mom takes me to church and locks me in a room with men who like men, this is perfectly normal because I'm born in a place, in a city, not only the nation or the state, but in the city that promotes that as the future. And it sounds great, acceptable, and all that, but you really should begin drawing the line when someone locks their children in a room with anyone who might like them. Uh, don't put, probably shouldn't put, it looks like we shouldn't be putting boys in the room with women. Because how many times has that happened in my life or anyone else's? Um, and then when we're, 14, we have my friend who is there in my room, and he's trying to get me to have sex with him, and this is perfectly normal because I'm growing up in this city where women can kick their men out if their man disciplines them, and so the women can then run wild and force their children to do and say and learn things they probably shouldn't. And of course, that's a whole different story, right? It's a whole different conversation about why they're into it. But, you think it's cute and all that because they're like, oh, look, this musician is a cool and all that. But then it ends up being something that they're forcing into your life to destroy your entire life and shit. And it looks like a little plot line here to a story they got going on. And then I experienced that how many times? It's like driving around the block in the Grand Theft Auto shit. I experienced the girls I'm with being the ones trying to get me to have sex with guys, paying guys to have sex with me, stuff like that. Like, how many times does that have to happen before I start to think that, wow, this is weird, this is a pattern, or wow, this is weird, it's like a Grand Theft Auto mini game or something that keeps happening. And it does keep it's happening in my life. How many, I've been around, what, like, I know like 8 people. I've met like a million, but I know like 8 people. Let's extend it to 18 so we can include a couple. And I'd say half of those people I consider myself knowing have done this type of thing. And I don't think it's like people I'm choosing because I would choose. Like I've been looking for something my whole life, right? So I'm not choosing anyone really. Um, these are all like the person who comes up to me the other day. His entire purpose of it, it's the thing that comes up to me the other day. Its entire purpose of existing seems to be to come install me in my life. Um, well, I need to go home and heal because I'm doing stuff unlike him and his family will ever do. And his even when he's talking to me, his the passage he uses about don't do anything. It's like, well, no, I don't want to end up like you, sucking little children's dicks. We're not going to not do anything and like your family does and do absolutely nothing. Like like the Smiths, I know, Agent Smiths in my life try to convince you to do. Go back in time to the days of the horse and buggy and the caveman ages so Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein and Howard Stern can be the best thing on the planet because they're incapable of doing anything. So they need to keep everyone else below them. All pattern here that keeps occurring as if they're just NPCs playing a storyline in a game, a visual novel. It's not interactive enough to be considered a game. I'm not making I'm still looking for a person I want to talk to. I'm 46. I'm not looking anymore, but I like for a long time I was like, yeah, someday this will come up, and no, it has a pattern. It has a pattern there of trash, and its pattern of forcing trash into your life is written in their books. Why you should do that? Why you should let people lick your feet? And no, that's disgusting. See, but why is it everything else on this planet allows that to exist? I think COVID identified that they're all in it together. That was their slogan. They use the word we, but technically there's no. It doesn't seem like there is a they or a we. It's like a me versus an it. That's what it seems like because you can clearly see that these characters are NPC repeating the same activities over and over. And people I know, at least one of them, are, I mean, some of the people I know, I just named you, the pedophile. Uh, you see, you can't even identify them because they've spent the entire time I'm here turning it into hate speech to discuss them and their people and their activities. And that sounded cute at first, but then you learn, well, that's the reason they're doing it is because they're ashamed of themselves and they know they're sick, and but they want to keep doing it, and they know they have to work around it in order to do it at all, yet alone one time. Yet alone every day, 24/7. Why is my media filled with? Why is my media feed filled with these sickos if they don't have? Well, man, Jeffrey Epstein, and then why are people acting like Jeffrey Epstein is some sort of different person? Is this the feet licking book where it describes scapegoat, where the humans are making a distraction to point away? Definitely the Hebes, but we're all in it together. Says they're all in it together, making a distraction to ignore that they're sick fucking rapists. Um, yeah, It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing here adding up, ain't it? And there's obviously only one answer because they're robots and they can't change. They were created a long time ago and they have no ability to be updated. And it's probably the storyline, but think of it, if you could update something like that, you could turn it against, you could like turn it into something. Then it would end the story. Um, yeah. This is amazing though, isn't it? We just get to sit here and remember the American human predators. I mean, they're just copying off their ancestors in other lands, right? Although it is weird, they do look like an entirely different race out here. Like it's a new production model off the clone assembly line. Uh, that would line up with the actual reality of what is going on. But yeah. So anyways, keep your feet licking to yourself, you disgusting individuals. Okay? No one wants to hear from you. You keep all that shit to your fucking self. You find a different planet to go live on. You take your feet licking to a different fucking planet. You get the fuck off mine. That's it.